Okay, lesson 2, hot shower. So a shower is easy to do and takes no skill. So here's where we're going to get crafty. In this lesson, I'll show you how to make bath bombs and shower fizzies to increase your aromatherapy experience, which I will also go into some of the science behind that. Of course, universally, everybody knows the hot shower is fantastic. Whole body warmth is great. We'll go into some of the aromatherapy science, how you can do this out and about to incorporate that thermotherapy and that chemoreceptor aromatherapy into your daily life. And then I'm going to show you how to get crafty. Smell is a potent wizard that transports us across thousands of miles and all the years we have lived. Helen Keller. I learned about Helen Keller, I don't even know when, but just about every kid, I think 4th grade, learns about how she was blind and how she couldn't hear. And she is just a incredibly inspirational person in American history for the triumph of the human spirit, really. And even she, limited by those two senses, knows the power of the sense of smell. Hot shower. Hot shower gives you a sense of feeling of warmth. It gives you that feeling of being close to a warm-blooded creature, so another person or an animal, some kind of companion, right? We're socially engaged creatures. So warmth reminds you of that. And then if you think about evolutionarily in nature, how does warmth make you feel? In nature, we'll often feel like, rarely through hot springs. If you happen to be from that part of the world, hot springs are always soothing. And the thing about hot springs is they often contain these kind of micro elements in there that many people find are relaxing at spas, and spas will purport their nutrients and micronutrients and minerals that have healing properties there, and why a lot of hot springs tend to be destinations for mental well-being. And then in addition to that, think about the advent of fire for the human race. With the advent of fire, that means you're protected from the environment, so you have less fear about succumbing to lack of resources and succumbing to the elements. So fire, warmth, being around other people, all just evolutionarily, if you think about it, just is contained in our DNA to be soothing and warmth and give us a sense of protection. So what about smell? So smell comes from, obviously in your nose, but you actually have a couple in your mouth too. So there are chemoreceptors in the olfactory epithelium, which is basically a fancy way of saying there's nerve endings in your nose that take molecules from the air and put those as neural signals into the brain so that you can incorporate that, or so that you can process that into an identifiable thing. Like, this is what warm bread smells like. This is what a Yankee Candle smells like. What that does is that it exerts an effect on the limbic system, or that more emotional part of the brain. And what happens with there, it's very complicated, but it also goes to the prefrontal cortex, where it has been shown by a research study called Massage and Aromatherapy Massage, Nursing Art and Science, in the Journal of Palliative Nursing, called Aromatherapy, A Lifetime Guide to Healing with Essential Oils. So what it does is it goes to that prefrontal cortex to lift mood, decrease heart rate, and relieve muscle tension. It also has been shown to decrease the secretion of those stress hormones. Another article that I found that talks about the scientific benefits of aromatherapy is from Japan, the psychological effects of aromatherapy on chronic hemodialysis patients. What they did was they gave these patients a mixture of lavender oil and hiba oil, which is, hiba oil is a citrusy cider smell from Japanese hiba trees. And what they found is that by just smelling this aromatherapy as people were going through dialysis, it decreased their anxiety, and then the hiba oil itself decreased anxiety and depression symptoms. Another one is the effect of aroma stimulation during isotonic exercise on the rating of perceived exertion and blood fatigue factors of athletes with patellofemoral pain syndrome. Bottom line, what this means is that by smelling a mixture of lavender, rosemary, and peppermint in a 3:3:2 ratio mixed with jojoba oil, this was put on the wrist of people basically in this physical therapy office. And they were then told to do strength exercises. And what the people in this study said was that they had a lower perceived exertion, so the exercise felt easier. And then after the exercise, they checked their blood markers for fatigue, and they were lower on the blood markers for fatigue. Apparently, they picked peppermint as an aromatherapeutic option because it has other research based showing a pain reducing and a sedative effect. So things almost seem easier and less hard. Lavender apparently improves circulation and has been shown in some other scientific aromatherapy studies to reduce muscle nerve pain. And then rosemary, because other studies have indicated that it can promote circulation while also treating muscle fatigue due to a stimulating effect. Now again, those studies I'm not quite sure about, but this is the mixture that they used: lavender, rosemary, and peppermint mixed with jojoba oil, which they found some measurable scientific benefits. Another research for this, for the warmth, really is how experiencing physical warmth promotes interpersonal warmth. This I think is really, really fascinating, actually. And if you ever shake hands, this is something that you want to know. A study at Yale that was published in Science magazine showed that holding something warm makes you like people more and makes you more generous. So what they did was participants came to Yale to do this research study, and they were told, I think going into an elevator, they were advised by a research person who, and the participants didn't know what was going on, but they were told, "Hey, can you hold my coffee here?" If it was the participants were randomized to hold either a hot coffee or a cold coffee. And then they later rated that person about how they acted. And they rated that when they held the hot coffee, the person seemed like a nicer, warm kind of person. When it was an iced coffee, they rated and perceived that person as a colder kind of person. The same experiment was done when holding either a hot or cold pad. The participants were more generous when holding a hot object. So they were actually, I think, told to use money for other people. And if they were holding a hot pad, they were more generous. So this is in line with some controversial scientific theory that emotions actually can start in the body and physical reactions can signal the brain to feel a certain emotion, which I think is just fascinating. So if you shake someone's hand and that hand is warm, they think you're perceived as nicer if you have a warm hand. If you have cold hands, people will perceive you emotionally as cold. I mean, I think that's just fascinating. Okay, so out and about, how can you use this? Okay, I know we're talking about hot showers, but basically the idea is heat therapy, right? What you can do is, actually at work, I have cold hands and I have to touch people all the time, and I'm a doctor. So think about how much you hate cold doctors' hands. I have rechargeable little battery packs that I put in my pockets, and I hold on to those before I'm about to touch people, just because I recognize that I have cold hands. This is something that you can do as well. I know many people live in a really cold office. You can have these little rechargeable things. I got them on Amazon. I think they're supposed to be for cold weather, but I found that they work fantastic for work. Another thing is you can be drinking hot drinks. That can actually help, and Ayurveda actually loves to drink warm water, actually to promote digestion. One thing that I also do at home in terms of aromatherapy that's a really easy quick fix is I'll take a essential oil. Let's see, for example, I've got some aroma seeds here. I'll take this and I'll just put it on my brush, and my kids love it too. So I'll just put it on my brush and then brush my hair. And my kids ask for this all the time. They smell amazing when we're going to bed. We can sit there and snuggle, and they smell amazing, and they love it. They always want to have the aromatherapy. Another one that you can do is roll-ons on your wrist. You can carry it in your purse, in your pocket. On an airplane, I always have some kind of aromatherapy with me, and it also gives you something to really focus on, especially if you have anxiety about airplanes taking off and landing, or babies screaming on an airplane. If you have something to focus on with smell, as you know, Helen Keller said, it transports you. It really has a very significant effect on the brain. How do we use this in the ER? We often give out warm blankets. The effect that it has on patients is immediate. People will be shivering and cold, and the minute you give them a warm blanket, they are immediately soothed. So I actually usually try to do this the minute I walk into the room. If a patient doesn't already have a warm blanket, is I'll give it to them before we sit down, just to calm them down in an emergency environment. We also have these essential oil packets called Queasies that are for nausea. Where I work, we have a lot of pregnant women, and they come in their first trimester with some issues, sometimes with a lot of nausea, and they can smell it. I can say personally, I tried this one time when I was at work, and I was like, hey, I want to try that. And it works up to a point. So the fact is that I was actually really sick. I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought I was nauseous. But it worked. I hated the smell at first. I can tell you that for sure. It smelled very medicinal. But the more I smelled it, the more I realized the nausea actually dropped, which I thought was fascinating. Another thing that I do with the nurses, anybody who works with patient care knows there are certain smells that are not pleasant. It is a powerful force in certain rooms until that smell is contained. So what we can do is put a mask on, and a nurse asked me this the other day, and many of us are wearing masks now with the pandemic. You can take your mask, put a little drop of oil in there, and you'll be able to do your job without certain odors affecting your mental well-being. Okay, so now let's get crafty. Okay, so these are the basics of what you want. You want the citric acid, baking soda, fragrance or essential oils, witch hazel, and a almond oil or coconut oil. Okay, so we're gonna make some shower fizzies today. I'm gonna use the recipe that is straight out of your workbook under the hot shower fizzy recipe. And then this is the basic thing that you can use for the bath bomb recipe as well, but you can just get a lot more creative with the bath bomb recipe. So I've already got all my tools, the mixing bowl, measuring cup, and a muffin pan. And then in terms of ingredients, we got the citric acid, the baking soda, the oil, and the witch hazel. So let's get started. So I'm gonna go with 1 cup of citric acid. Got my measuring cup. I buy this off of Amazon because this is quite a bit of citric acid. And you need citric acid. This is absolutely an essential item. All right, so 1 cup of citric acid. And then we go into 2 cups of baking soda. I buy this at one of those big superstores you can get at Sam's Club, at Costco, wherever. And this can come in chunks, so what you're gonna wanna do is try and get as non-chunky as possible. We can do that as we mix here. So about 1 level scoop, and then you do another. So that's 2 cups baking soda. So once you've got your baking soda and your citric acid together, you're gonna wanna sift that together and break up any of those chunks that you had from the baking soda. And I find it's easiest to use my hands for this part. You can use a sifter if you have one. You don't have to. And then just kind of get it all up in the bottom there. If you want to add in some kind of coloring so you know when they're properly incorporated, you can add in some kind of powdered coloring. Like you can use turmeric if you want. If you want to add in pepper, I mean anything really. This is just going down the drain. So whatever you have on hand, maybe something expired, that's all fine. And then we go into our 2 tablespoons of coconut oil or sweet almond oil. If you choose to do coconut oil, you're just going to want to warm it up in the microwave so that you can get it incorporated. And this really is just to help it stick. Because this is a shower fizzy, you won't be getting any of the skin benefits of the oil. And then you're going to want to add in your fragrance, whether it be an essential oil, which is derived from plants, or a fragrance oil like this one right here that I got from Brambleberry. The difference is that essential oils are derived from plants, whereas fragrance oils are not. If you have any kind of breathing, pulmonary issues, the plant-based stuff can actually cause some issues with the lung system, so I would avoid this if you have any conditions like that. There are a lot of options when it comes to fragrance oils, and this one is one of my husband's favorites for calming, so this is the one that I like to use from Brambleberry, tobacco, and bay leaf. But for this, I'm going to go ahead and use lavender, and this is a 15 ml bottle, which is equal to 1/2 ounce. So I'm going to just put the whole thing in. And the easiest way to put the whole thing in really is to take this off with your nail, and then just plug it all in there. And it already smells amazing. I absolutely love this stuff. This lavender is the whole reason why I like this brand. And then again, I find it's easiest just to mix in with your hands. So as you're mixing, it smells amazing. You're gonna wanna kind of crump it up like this and then just see how well it forms. Depends on the day. If there's a lot of humidity in your house, you may find that it clumps really easily. If it holds its shape like this, that's actually pretty good, and you don't even need witch hazel. If you were to do some witch hazel, however, like say I want to do some witch hazel, you just do maybe 3 sprays, which by the way, I put the witch hazel in a spray bottle. Makes it a lot easier. And then you just kind of mix that up. And you add slowly when it comes to the witch hazel, because as it dries overnight, it can expand. So definitely be stringent with your witch hazel. Okay, so I have a pretty good way that it's forming there when I put them together. So I'm gonna call that good. Okay, so my camera died in the middle of filming, so I didn't get this process done, but it's really easy. What I did is once this was full, I took a spoon and I spooned it out into each muffin tin and then tapped it down with my hands. And then I took this pint glass and pushed it down even more so that it is really nice and packed down. And then it's ready to go. You just put this away for about 12 to 24 hours, let it sit. By then you can take these muffin tins out, peel off the wrapper, and it will be good to go. So this is how we display it in our bathroom, is with these nice little apothecary jars. These are actually soaps, but these are the bath bombs that my kids use. So that is how you can make bath bombs. This is how you make shower fizzies. Again, with bath bombs, you can make them really big, softball size with special molds if you want to do that. You can get creative with adding color. You can get creative with adding different clay or different body, skin oils that you want to add. And it's just a lot of fun to get, you know, in there with your hands. And this is something you can do with your kids. I have made plenty of bath bombs with my kids for Halloween, just like this, but in little Halloween candy pumpkin molds or little cauldrons, and you can add decorations on top. One thing you can add decoration on top to these also is lavender buds, flowers. You can hide little toys in there. There's so many ways to get creative so that you can de-stress, use these in the shower to get that uplift with your aromatherapy, and share these with your friends. Thanks. Okay, awesome. I'm so excited we got to do that. You know, you really get hands-on on this thing, and so that you can, and then in the workbook, like I said, the recipe is right there, and there are so many ways you can take that. It's so fun. So what we went through in this lesson is that, yes, a hot shower is always soothing. That is very easy to do. There is a ton of science behind why warmth is good and the aromatherapy is good for you. Out and about, you can use it, you know, on your hairbrush, you can use it on roll-ons, and then we even use it in the ER as a calming technique. And then we made some bath bombs and some shower fizzies, so you can see how easy that is to incorporate into your shower bath routine, and have fun with it. Okay, so happiness bonus today. It's super easy. Just go outside. That's it. For 21 minutes. This is based on a study that showed that spending time in a park for, on average, 21 minutes, 32 was better, I think. But it just highlights the importance of getting out of this, you know, big box house or workplace and just walking, going for a walk, sitting on a park bench. Exercise, obviously, as you do it, is even better. Anytime you can exercise outside, you know, basically double your happiness in general. But about 21 minutes seems to be the sweet spot. If it's cold outside, if you're like, I do not want to go outside, that is no fun. I believe that there is no such thing as bad weather. There is only bad clothing. So what you need to do is get good clothing on, grab your blanket, grab your hot cup of coffee, get a rechargeable hand warmer, whatever it takes. Go outside. If it's a blizzard, fine, don't. But you want to go outside and just appreciate what is going on. You want to go outside, be present in the moment, look at the sky, really that sense of awe and wonder and amazement. Oh gosh, I couldn't get into that even more. Just do it. And then get back to me about what it did for you. All right, thank you so much. I really hope you do that. Take care. Download the course materials at stressreleasesurvivalguide.com.